Governor Stein, what are the implications for parents and students who receive free or reduced lunch if President Trump's administration's freeze take place? What are those implications for families?
Well, we here in North Carolina, like the rest of the country, are very concerned, confused. The order that came from the Office of Management and Budget in Washington, OMB, created widespread confusion. So much so that a number of states and actors went to court and within hours got an injunction from a federal judge putting a stop to the order because of the widespread confusion. So there are a lot of consequences that if it goes into effect the way people thought it meant, where people in North Carolina will struggle. They will suffer. There are all kinds of nonprofit organizations. We had proposed furloughs of federally funded state employees. Western North Carolina, and we're in the east now, but it's hard to, I mean, you all understand flooding, but you understand flooding on flat ground. Flooding in a mountain valley is just different. It is like a mad force of power, and anything in the way just gets washed away. And the devastation is immense. We need the federal government's support so that we can effectively help the people of West North Carolina get back up on their feet. We were concerned about that as well. Fortunately, there's an injunction. We can all take a breather, and hopefully the federal government will reconsider their order.
Governor Stein, a few weeks in your office already, and you're making rounds, of course, Western North Carolina, but especially Eastern North Carolina. Talk about the significance of being well-rounded in that regard.
Well, this is an incredible state. It's a big state. Big state. We have more state-sponsored roads than any state in the country other than Texas. A lot of people, over 11 million people. It's so beautiful. And the people are so good. They're so good. Whether you're here or you're in the West or you're in the Piedmont. And it's an honor to be able to represent the folks of North Carolina. I obviously need to get out and talk to as many people so I can hear what's on their minds, what they care about and prioritize. That's what we want to work on.
And Governor, we've had officials in Eastern North Carolina speak out about the potential federal grants and the freezing. What is your message to them and those who may be worried about the issue?
Well, I absolutely sympathize with their confusion and concern, because if it were carried out to the full extent that people fear, there will be a lot of jobs lost, a lot of critical services that people depend on gone. So what we need to do is just all take a breather, figure out what they have in mind, and go from there. The court has given us that time. They issued an injunction so we can all take that breather and understand the full implications. Obviously, my office is in touch with our congressional delegation to try to get clarity and try to push for as less devastating a consequence as we can have.
That injunction, though, is only for a few days. Is anything that your office is doing now in case it does move forward to help protect North Carolinians who depend on those key services?
Well, as I said, there's lawsuits in place to bring action to stop it. The courts have followed that up with an injunction to have stopped it. We are in conversation with our congressional delegation to try to get clarity and try to urge the Trump administration to just slow it down a little bit.
You spoke in your campaign about free meals for students. Can you talk about the support that you might have for that in North Carolina and what the cost might be?
Yeah, we are looking at exactly that question right now. I'm putting together a budget. I have a meeting with my budget director this afternoon. That is exactly one of the topics we will be talking about. There is no question that it is good for children, good for learning when kids are not hungry. And there are studies that show when you have universal meals, everyone's nutritional intake goes up, because nobody feels weird about taking a meal because everybody's doing it. So it's a win-win-win, and I want to make sure that we do the best we can within our budgetary constraints to make sure that as many children who need food get that food so that they can sit in that classroom and soak up knowledge.
All right, last question if anyone has one.
Can you give us your feelings on Trump's first week in office?
Has it been a week? He's in his second week. I am very grateful that President Trump made his first visit out of the nation's capital to North Carolina. He came to Western North Carolina. I greeted him on the tarmac in Asheville. He has made it very clear, and he actually has followed up that visit by having his national security advisor reach out to me on multiple occasions to ask, what can we do to advance the recovery efforts in West North Carolina? So I'm grateful for that focus.
All right, everybody, thank you so much.